Mr. Speaker, I just continue to hear from my colleagues across the aisle that this notion that the debt limit are always bipartisan votes. And I just wanted to point out again that, however, in the last 20 years, there were 5 occasions where the party in power had to pass the debt limit through the Senate by themselves. This includes when then Senator Biden and Senator Schumer voted against raising the debt ceiling under President George W. Bush. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I yield 1.5 or 1.5 minutes to the gentleman from Pennsylvania.
The gentleman from Pennsylvania is recognized for 1.5 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, I thank the gentlewoman from Minnesota also for exposing that facts are very stubborn things. Mr. Speaker, what am I missing here? The Democrat leadership just lectured us on how critical it is for all of us to vote for their huge debt ceiling increases as an obligation, as our duty. Yet Democrat leadership, as we were showing, has voted against debt ceilings many times. I have quotes here from their commentary. It would create uncertainty to the overall economy and leading to job destroying credit downgrades, et cetera, et cetera. Mr. Speaker, this is hypocrisy. And my constituents and the American people are very tired of it. As well, to say that this debt ceiling is for past bills is false. Let's then set a debt ceiling at a responsible level, not at the level which just happens to accommodate the $5 trillion plus planned reconciliation tax and spend bill they're working on. Asking us to raise a credit card limit, trillions, and have no say at all in how it is spent, Mr. Speaker, that's irresponsible, and I won't be part of it. I yield back.
Gentleman yields. The gentlelady reserves. The gentleman from Massachusetts is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, let me just say that to my good friend, the gentlelady from Minnesota, Democrats, individual Democrats on occasion have voted no on the debt ceiling, and the party in control, and ends up carrying the day. But I guess I would ask her, does she know how many times Democrats threatened to filibuster the raising of the debt ceiling in the Senate? I mean, to make it virtually impossible for the party in control to be able to pass it? I'm happy to yield to her, but the answer to that is zero. Zero. And I said this before, when we debated this a couple of weeks ago. I don't expect my Republican friends to do the responsible thing, but I expect them to get out of the way so that we can. And that's what's at stake here today. Again, let me remind all my colleagues what happens if, in fact, we don't extend the debt limit. Again, according to a nonpartisan Moody's Analytics, Mark Zandi says such a crisis could result in a loss of 6 million U.S. jobs, and $15 trillion in household wealth would be wiped out. Obviously something that we can not easily recover from, if we could ever recover from it, especially after the coronavirus pandemic. And let me just say, I'm so happy to hear my Republican friends finally have seen the light on the debt. Where have you been? Where were you when Donald Trump brought his tax cut bill for the well-off and the well-connected? You had no problem. You had no problem at all piling on $2 trillion to the debt. Remember the debate we had on the floor? You were like, no big deal, no big deal. I mean, would you reconsider that vote now? Or do you want to take back the vote that many of you cast, and I think wisely so, to help provide COVID relief monies to families that were struggling because of the worst pandemic in our lifetimes? You want to take that back? I mean, come on. This debate is embarrassing. Mr. Speaker, with that, I reserve my time.
Gentleman from Massachusetts reserves. Members are reminded to direct their comments to the chair. The gentlewoman from Minnesota is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I yield 2 minutes to the gentleman from Texas.
Gentleman from Texas.